The following program is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing.
Hello and welcome. A very good evening. This is the Realtor. We are back to tell you more about real estate property acquisition, but today we are shifting gear a little because I want us to talk about property management. And you know, this cuts across the double sides. Now, when I talk about double sides, I'm talking to you as a property owner and also to you as a tenant sharing a space that belongs to someone else. Now, when all this is said and done, I believe we have this side of the property, occupation, and I believe majority of us know when it talks, or rather when it comes to property rent payment or remission of what you are supposed to do. Why am I saying all this? It's because I believe 90% of us out here, we belong or we are in places that are rented. Now, when we rent this space, what comes in your mind anytime you are going to look for that space? Najua kuna wale wa ni ya tena, ni ya agent nataka, ni ya agent sitake. Today I felt okay bringing the agents to you so that we can agree. Why is this difference? And if the difference is there, how can we solve this? Because I believe there is a certain thing in the air that the perception about property agents and popularly known as property managers on the other side. I have them on set. This is a Realtor. My name is Robert Dongo. Karibu sana. Welcome so much. Today is lady and gentleman, not ladies and gentlemen. All right, thank you. I know Dan, you're not new here. I'll allow you to introduce yourself after our very new has introduced herself kindly.
Hi guys, I'm Lucille Matu. I work under Address Properties Consultants. Thank you.
Wow, karibu sana Matu and Dan. Yes, say hi.
Hi, thank you very much for having me, Mr. Robert.
Right.
It's an honor to be on the Realtor Show once again. My name is Daniel Nyoro Nyambura, founder and group CEO of Akoncham Property Realtors. We are known for our good property management skills and experience, letting services, marketing services, and we are here to, of course, be on the Realtor Show.
Wow, thank you so much. And also thank you for taking the time to be here so that we can enlighten our viewers matters what you are good at. Now, we start with you, Daniel. Remind us, who is a property agent?
Wow, it's a good question. A property agent is a registered professional individual or a company that has been tasked the roles of property care, or rather after development of a property. There's a stage where you are now looking for somebody to take possession of the property or stay in the premise. A property agent comes in as somebody to guide you to the desired property, somebody to guide you and help you look for a property, or somebody to take care of your property. So it looks on the sides of somebody willing to look for a house, somebody who's looking for somebody to take care of the house when he's not available, basically like a manager, and somebody who's looking for tenants to take, somebody who's looking for tenants to fill up a property. Those are the three directions you have to look at it, or three ways you have to look at it. So a property agent is there to let a property, showcase a property, market a property, manage a property, or even care for the property.
All right, awesome. And maybe then you can tell us before I come to Matu, tell us whether we have a body that regulates the property agents in Kenya.
Yes, as you asked the question of who is a property agent, the first thing I mentioned is a property agent is a professional who has been registered under the constitution or under the laws. Now, the body that registers and governs the way property agents work or work professionally is known as the Estate Agency Board of Kenya.
Wow.
It has been governed by the government, or governs the way a property agent behaves, the way it works, and even the way they charge.
Right.
And all these is actually captured in the Constitution and the Estate Caps laws of Kenya.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, you understand that you don't just have to jump into someone because they call themselves property agents. You need to authenticate that indeed they are people who are authentic and they are registered. Other that body Dan is talking about. You know what? I know now you know. Madam Matu, kindly, you are out there doing this. What is this that you take and what is that you don't take? Maybe here said myself as a property owner, I offer you my property to manage. Do you take everything? And if so, well, how do you go about it?
As a property manager, you just don't take everything that comes to you. There's one step you have to take before signing a contract. There's a contract you sign between you and the landlord who is coming in to mandate you as a property manager. There's something like that is called vetting. You go out, you check out their property, and on the letting contract, there's a clause that says, is a property good, fair, or in good condition? So someone can bring you a non-performing property, which even when you go to the ground, you look at the property and you say, no. We are not just hungry because we are called property managers, we are just hungry to manage the property so that you can get the management fee. But you have to go to the ground, supervise the property. If it is to your liking or into your terms, you go for the job. But not everything that is brought your way you take.
Right.
That's why we encourage landlords or the developers to bring up modern houses. Yes, because the properties differ in different varies. There is semi-permanent, there is permanent, there is non-manageable properties, which you can't manage.
Oh, wow, so
Yes.
that's new to me.
Yes.
So there are properties you cannot manage.
Yes.
Now, when you talk about maybe checking on ground what is it that you're bringing to your people, bringing to your scoop so that you can sell, because he said yours is to, one of your obligations is to sell the space. How is it that you can say, I'll not take this, I'll take this other one? Is it that you consider the nature of your clientele or in terms of tenants, or what is it that can make you not take a property?
There are several things that can make you not take a property. One, if you don't agree with the landlord or the terms or the percentage they are giving you, you come back to your end and check the expenses that you're going to use going to that particular premises na yeye anataka to bring the percentage down. One, you differ there. Secondly, how is your property? Is it in a modern place, the locality? How is it good for the tenants? Maybe you are in an area like where there's a maybe institution, the school institutions, and most of the properties that are coming up, they are studios, and the capture market, we call it the capture market, which it is most of the capture market in such a place where there's too many institutions like schools or
colleges,
yes, colleges, you tend to get students or bachelors or something like that. So the market, the locality, and how you are going to converse with the person giving you the business.
Awesome.
Yes.
I know this goes to the property owners, because I know we have the two versions. We have the property owners, the developers, or the landlords, popularly known as. But at the same time, we have also these other people that we call now the tenants. I'm coming to tenants because I believe I promised I'll never leave you behind. Daniel, there's this, Matu has said, if you differ in terms of your take home, do we have a standard figure or a standard percentage rather that is set by the body that you agents should charge?
Yes, there is a figure that has been set by the estate agency board on how much an agent or a property agent should charge. It differs from the kind of a property and the kind of services you're giving. There's a fee for valuation, which is usually 3% or thereabout. There's a fee for property management, which is from 2.5% going upwards, depending, dear viewers, on what you are managing. Is it a commercial property? Is it a residential property? Is it a garden? Is it a shamba? Is it just a property? All these differs. Is it a quarry? Because you also manage quarries. All this depends on the kind of property you're managing. So what I can advise my viewers is, depending on the kind of property you have and you're looking for a property agent to manage, you need to go to the constitution and check, or call us. We advise on how much we are supposed to charge.
Awesome.
Yes.
Wow, excellent. I want us to talk about now the eviction, but before we get to eviction, we must have admitted, we must have lived, and now there must be a disagreement somewhere. Welcome back. This is a realtor, and today we are talking about tenants eviction. What is it that the property managers or the property agents find it worth to evict you? And if so, how are you safe? And if you are not safe, what is it that you should know from them? Because they are there to manage us, they are there to help us live harmoniously in our spaces, in so long as they are rented. And if you are there, you are a property owner, it is also your share that you understand, you get to understand how, where to get them and how also to relate with them. Welcome back, and karibuni sana, Russell and my friend Daniel. You lit fire before we left for the break that there must be something that this tenant is not meeting as part of their obligation. Now, once is it that probably they signed the vetting form knowing very well that I have this, or where is this discrepancy?
Mr. Robert, thank you for that question. It's not that they signed the vetting form. Actually, the vetting form they don't need to sign, because these are me as an agent stipulating down the rules and conditions of the place, or the rules that govern your stay between you as a tenant and me as an agent, or me representing the landlord and the agent. So in that part, when you're seated in front of me, or my colleague or our team at Quantum Property Realtors, we are going to give you the rules. So in those rules, hapo tu, Mr. Robert, in Swahili, hapo tu ndio utakosana. Hapo tu ndio nitakwambia sheria ya huko. And these vetting, these are where we touch in nuggets, a few of the things that actually make us all the time give evictions or give maybe notices. That is where I'm going to ask you about your credit worthiness. Are you able to pay the rent of the said amount? Are you able to fulfill your obligations as a tenant in paying your rent by the due date? You as a tenant, in that particular time, that is when you need to come clean. That is when you need to tell me, I'm sorry, Mr. Daniel from our Quantum, my rent or my salary comes in on 5th. So I'll not be able to pay on 5th, I'll be able to pay on 10th. I'm sorry, Mr. Daniel, I'm an active smoker. Do you have a smoking zone for such people like us? I'm sorry, Mr. Daniel, I have a pet, but it's a chihuahua. It stays in the house. I'm sorry, Mr. Daniel, I tend to party a lot. I have parties here now, and also I usually have baby showers now and then, and all those kind of things. That is when you come clear. If you come clear, then I, as a property manager, I'll tell you whether you're able to be with us as a tenant. I suggest another property, or I tell you, okay, well, in that particular case, when you want to do this, do an email, communicate this and that. But now if I give you all that, and then down the line, 1 year down the line, unavunja sheria zote. Tenants, they are complaining. This person said by the name of Mr. Robert is complaining, is doing parties all now and then. Now that's when the issue comes in.
Thank you, Daniel. Lucy, tell us, at the very point of admission, there's something these people have been asking. Ask them about the deposit. What is a rent deposit, and what is its purpose?
Rent deposit is like security, because once you come into renting my property, you have found it in a very good condition, everything is intact, everything is in place. So you are coming in, what deposit is what you give me to assure me when you start those shenanigans or hullabaloos, after what my colleague have said, after 1 year you bleach the contract, or one clause will start back and forth. When I want to evict you, or I want to, there's a notice we give them, a 30-day terminal notice. When I want to evict you, I will have to come back, check how the condition of my house is. But before the tenants come in, we have a thing that we call, we have a form that they sign called a checklist. The toilet is okay, the kitchen is okay, the cabinets are okay, all the keys are on the door. So when coming out, I'll come with the same form, and as we are doing repairs as you come out, that is what we use. And that particular month that you have been evicted, or you are coming out of the premises, your time for staying in the premises is due, that is when we come and take back the deposit. But before we give back the deposit, we have to go back to the checklist that you signed, check whatever is spoiled, and if everything is intact, you get your deposit back. But deposit has to be paid, especially in these modern houses.
Right. Yes. Mr. Daniel, I understand from where Lucille is coming from. This deposit that you say you return or you refund, these people are concerned. And you know why they are concerned? Rarely do they get their deposit back. you quote things that, including painting. And in that regard, someone asked me, how come I have been in your space for 10 years, or rather for 7 years, 5 years, I've developed my space, so hata hatujakosana, eti ndio maana natoka. So I'm going to my space after, nimebarikiwa, nimepata yangu. So why come and ask me to paint a house that I have given you my rent for 10 years? So, and again, someone will leave after 1 year, but the house kind of intact, but somehow these people assume, or majority assume, that their deposit will get somewhere to go. How is that?
That's a very good question, Mr. Robert. Actually, you get a lot of questions concerning that. I've stayed in your house for more than 10 years, Daniel. You guys are good managers. Why am I being cut? Why is my deposit come half only? So the question is this. When you got into that house, we gave you a set of conditions. And one of the conditions was, the same way you came and found the house is the same way you're going to give me back the house. Why? This was an investment. So I was given by a landlord and told, take care of this property. The same way I give you, in the next 10 years, if I'm supposed to come in this and stay in this house, I expect to find the same thing. So yes, Mr. Robert, there are things which are known as obvious wear and tear. Things like paint. But surely, who is going to paint that house? I'm still going to use your security deposit.
But I've given you money for 10 years. Exactly. What is after your sales? After sales service?
Exactly. After sales services, there are things also we tend to overlook, we as agents or we as landlords. The moment you delay for about 10 days, I'm going to overlook that and I'm not going to charge you a penalty. But those questions are better asked by the time you're being vetted. Say, I feel this security deposit, because it's not just a deposit, it's a security. You are securing the property against such things.
All right.
So that is the best time to ask them.
Now let me ask you,
yes.
Now, we having said all this, because I know we have laid a very good base. How is the eviction rating currently in the current market, the current rental market? How is the evictions?
Evictions, Mr. Robert, comes in many ways. But when you ask the question based on timelines, yes, we have had more evictions since the pre-COVID time. This is because of many defaults in rent and ATC. And so when you call about eviction, there are many reasons when you can be given evictions. When you narrow that down to rent only, we have had a lot of evictions lately, mostly because of default on rent. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Where do you start when it comes to evicting somebody from your space?
Good question, Mr. Robert. But one thing, do our viewers or our tenants know what is eviction?
Right.
Eviction is the act or the process of expelling a tenant from a property. And eviction, as my colleague has said, comes in different ways. You can be evicted because of different things, non-paying, you are a nuisance, you have this kind of different characters that my colleague has raised. So one thing they should know, it is being expelled from that particular unit you occupied in a particular property.
If you allow me, maybe, and sorry for cutting you short, let's go by this person who is defaulting in terms of payment. Au wengine wa sherehe na nini, those are hizo maybe we may not, but narrow down to somebody who is not able to pay or to keep, the agreement.
There are laws that binds both the tenants that are covering the tenant and they are covering the landlords who is renting out. There is a lessee and the lessor law that is binding them. Like in the COVID times, as my colleague said, there is a board that came up of tenants and landlords boards, which as we were evicting people, orthodoxly and all those things. And the tenants and the landlords board came in and said, this is a pandemic that is happening everywhere. You should go slow when evicting these people at this time of the pandemic. So for the tenants who is a non-tenant, who is an irregular rent payer, we call them like that, in layman's language. They are irregular rent payer, but when they are coming in, there is a form, we call it a tenancy agreement, or that form that they are vetted with. There is every clause states very well, rent is paid on this date, and if it's not paid on this date, can we have a dialogue, a friendly dialogue? Are you going to manage? How is your background? Where are you coming in? How is your financial obligations? How is your credit rating? So are you going to be able to pay this particular unit for this? The tenancy agreement is usually a term for rentals, is usually a term of an year. So an year, if I see you have been a good tenant, we renew the contract. But within this time of the year, and you have become an irregular rent payer, the landlord bounds to give you a notice, a 30-day terminal notice to come out of the property. And if you still, by the time that 30-day terminal notice elapses and you don't vacate, now you become, a trespasser. Yes. So that's when now the landlords can seek eviction from the court of law. We have the rent tribunals and all those boards that come in to assist the landlord to do that. But when the tenant is coming in, they need to be made aware
that this can happen.
These are the consequences if you don't pay. At
the point of court order, Mr. Daniel, we have, is this the same time that you either come with auctioneers or you just come with court? After the court order, what happens? Maybe in a minute because our time is up.
After the court order, what happens? Before we get to the court order, Mr. Robert, that must be a very rogue tenant. Yes. We deal with it differently at Aquantum and even many places. I love the way she mentioned analog or that discussion. When it comes to a court order, the court order I think is a break-in order. The break-in order for us to literally evict you out. When it comes to that is the last thing. That is the last thing. Because we have a lease agreement, Mr. Robert, if I may mention this. The lease agreement stipulates the rules or what the conditions when you fail to pay rent or regularly pay your rent. There's one that is called about distress. Distress for rent, that is when I invite the auctioneer. If the auctioneer fails, that is now when you go to court and these other processes. But that comes when you really have a rogue tenant or somebody you probably never vetted. Like our rogue agents who never do anything, just get a tenant and just put them in the house. But when you do vetting, you never get to that.
Thank you. Special thanks to the new Salvid. This is a hotel that gave us a place to do this today. May God bless you. Until next time, my name is Robert Dongo.